Beginning construction in 1970, the Citadel Mall in Colorado Springs was the state's first major enclosed shopping mall outside of Metro Denver. Its architecture would be a mix of brutalism and pre-Columbian design, inspired by the city's appreciation of beauty and culture and similar geographic climate as the Mayans and Aztecs. Multiple plazas adorned with sculptures were spread across the exterior. A massive and unique JCPenney would be the major anchor, along with the second of Denver dry goods, eventually growing to 4 anchors. Post-millennium, the mall would begin to die like so many others, losing tenants and anchors. However, a new owner would purchase the dying mall and has managed to revitalize this stunning beauty. But that doesn't mean Citadel Mall is not without some issues. Chiefly its notoriety as an epicenter for gun violence. Join us as we explore the history and beauty of Colorado Springs Citadel Mall. The mall's grand opening would be held March 1st, 1972, with a ribbon cutting by that year's Miss Colorado, accompanied by music from the Air Force Academy Drum and Bugle Corps. 4 days of celebrations were planned, featuring a costume-making bazaar, children's parade, cooking shows, and fashion classes. We begin heading into the original section of the mall at opening time on a weekday, so first appearances may give the impression it is still dead mall, but people began to filter in fast. The mall's first anniversary was celebrated with a pre-Columbian art show by local schools, kids' activities, and an appearance by actress Carmelita Pope for the Humane Society. For the third anniversary, a gold mine was set up for customers to pan for prizes. By that time, the Citadel Bank Financial Center and Citadel Village residential community had also opened on site, under the vision of the 140 acres being a city within a city, which earned them recognition as the prototype for future similar projects by the Urban Land Institute and called a leader in shopping center complex development by the Chain Store Age magazine. The mall would be purchased in the early 80s by the Rouse Company, who set about expanding the property to compete with the new Chapel Hills Mall, which opened in Colorado Springs in 1982. Two years later, the expansion would be completed, which built a western wing with a third anchor of May, Daniels & Fisher, a Colorado-based department store. But more importantly, connecting the old mall to the new section was the creation of this magnificent tri-level food court. Without a doubt, this is the most beautiful food court I've ever seen, and it has been left almost completely untouched since its creation. A waterfall cascades down from top to bottom, while a luscious garden spreads throughout. By the time I made it to this area, it was absolutely packed for lunchtime, as the mall has a very late opening of 11 a.m. Let's just take a while to stroll and enjoy the ambiance. At the opposite side of the mall, and a bit quieter, is Dillard's. This would be the fourth anchor added, which began work in 1994, as yet another effort to retain customers from new shopping centers opening near the Springs. As part of a $25 million renovation and expansion, the three-level Dillard's was added to the eastern side, which brought the total leasable space to 1.1 million square feet. It was during this 3-year construction period that the mall also sought to refresh its tenants into more upscale stores, choosing not to renew the leases of some longtime tenants to bring in stores such as Eddie Bauer, Victoria's Secret, and Natural Wonder. Upon completion, the mall would be purchased for $153.2 million. The late 90s would see an annual 3-on-3 basketball tournament take place in the parking lot of the mall called Slammin' in the Springs, and more recently, carnivals are held in the lot. However, back in 1994, an undercover FBI agent would be shot in the leg in the parking lot during a sting operation buying illegal weapons and narcotics from 3 Crips gang members from California, eventually leading to 8 arrests for the crime. In 1998, another man would shove over a Salvation Army bell ringer and run off with his donation bucket, which had around $500 in it. In 2001, while he was on tour, Snoop Dogg made a shopping trip to the Citadel, drawing a crowd of 150 fans begging to be let into the stores, which his security team closed down while he was inside them. He reportedly asked one store how his clothing line was selling, to which they told him it wasn't doing so well. The far west section of the mall is the quietest. In 1987, May D&F would merge with the Denver and close that older anchor, which has since been filled by Burlington Coat Factory. Meanwhile, May D&F would turn into Foley's and then Macy's before completely closing in 2014. It would sit vacant until 2022, when it was purchased by the Zeal Church, a non-denominational church that began 2 years earlier and had shuffled between temporary locations until purchasing the 100,000 square foot former acre for $3.5 million. They have since spent $6 million to renovate the anchor, and though you can still see work is underway, the grand opening was held 2 months prior to filming. This is not actually the first church in the Citadel either. Back in 2001, a group of Capuchin Franciscan monks started an experiment by opening a confessional booth at the mall. It was so successful that 4 years later, a 100-seat chapel was opened in one of the storefronts and still operates to this day. Over here is also the closed storefront of Heroes and Legends, which was shut down in early 2024.
Investigators taking boxes, one after another, filled with collectible Funko Pop figures from the Heroes and Legends store inside the Citadel Mall. It comes after Colorado Springs police believe the owner was selling stolen retail merchandise there and at another location at the Chapel Hills Mall.
We have a lot of shoplifters that go in and take items from the retail stores, take them to locations like the ones we're executing the warrants on, where they're able to sell them for a lot cheaper than they're worth, and then these stores end up selling them.
Colorado Springs is the headquarters of the North American Aerospace Defense Command, called NORAD for short. Since 1955, they have also provided a Santa Claus tracking system for children over the holidays. A number of versions how this came to be exist, but the main storyline is that Christmas 1955, a child phoned the Air Command asking where Santa Claus was, and the commander decided to play along. In 2005, for the 50th anniversary, a giant installation was built in the Citadel Mall that featured a tracking map, 25-foot Christmas tree, and messages of peace from children around the world where it played. By 2007, the mall had begun to struggle and lost a succession of stores when it was purchased by Midwest Mall Properties, who had retained the previous owner as the management company until selling it completely to Namdar Realty Group in 2015. By now, Macy's had left, Steve & Barry's closed, and Dillard's had closed their third level and downgraded the store to just a clearance center. The new owners would work on restoring its tenancy rates, but starting in 2016, a wave of gun violence would plague the Citadel and surrounding area, leading locals to dub the mall the Shootadel.
Colorado Springs Police Department has released a body camera video from a foot chase that ended with a suspect taking his own life inside the Citadel Mall.
Brandon Harris is running through the Burlington Coat Factory.
Police, get down! Get down!
Officers sprint after Harris, things happening so quickly that customers barely have time to react.
Drop the gun! Drop the gun now!
Police claim Harris fired a shot in their direction, sending a bullet through this mop.
He's racking! Drop it!
Then in response, an officer fires 3 shots. Police claim they don't hit Harris. We won't show you here, but we have seen one officer's body camera footage that shows Harris firing the gun at himself before falling to the ground.
Yes, we need medical code 3 right now.
Despite starting CPR almost immediately, Harris dies at the hospital a short time later.
When shots rang out in a drive-by shooting here at the Citadel Mall Tuesday, the victim treated and released from the hospital. 2 other adults also hit by gunfire. All will survive their wounds.
On Christmas Eve, dozens of first responders rushed to Citadel Mall on reports of a shooting. 18-year-old Tarias Thomas, 2 sisters and girlfriend also rushed to the mall, waiting to know what happened. The 2 other victims remain in stable condition in the hospital tonight, and the Colorado Springs Police says they're still investigating the situation.
To date, there have been 16 separate incidents reported over the last 8 years, and in 2024, the U.S. military decided to add the mall to its list of forbidden locations for its personnel as an unsafe location. A backlash would see them make exceptions for religious and educational purposes, and obviously their recruitment center was allowed to be staffed. Also in summer 2024, the mall and city leaders would donate a storefront to the Men of Influence, a nonprofit organization dedicated to fighting against gun violence. Maybe it's because back east we have malls that are far more dead. Or maybe it's because I'm so in love with this beautiful food court. But the Citadel seems to be doing quite well to me. And as mall management and city officials work to change the perception of the mall, it will hopefully continue on well into the future, drawing in shoppers for decades to come.